Since 2011 and the beginning of the popular uprising of the Syrian people against the regime of Bashar al-Assad, which has been completely peaceful in the beginning, and the rule of Bashar al-Assad later forced the people to use arms to defend their lives and property and honor. Syria's nation has many of the Syrian people have been killed and wounded in this war, and this is, of course, and we have millions of Syrians who have been displaced around the world. But the concerns begin where the Islamic Republic of Iran, despite all its slogans like defending the weak in the world, is the first military supporter of Bashar Assad. This support is being done while that most of the Iranian citizens are living in the lack of the basic facilities, and the Iranian government uses all the wealth of Iran in these wars, which, in addition to the financial losses and assistance to the killing of authoritarian regimes, pose a pessimistic and hostile attitude toward the Iranian people. And the Iranian people ultimately will be the victims of these policies. Although many people who understand this danger and know that all the insecurity in the region is based on the interventions of the Islamic Republic of Iran. But the question is, why some people from Afghanistan are being prepared to go to war in Syria? Maybe some of them are being deceived by the Iranian government and know it as a crusade and go there to kill the Syrian people. But many of them go to that war to make some money and save their families who are in the hands of the Iranian regime, which misuses their need to money to send them to the war. If you ask any Afghan refugee who has been living in Iran, he talks about discrimination and discriminations by the Iranian regime. During the last 38 years, this part of the Iranian residents have had no human rights, and they were even denied the right to complain and the right to protest. Thousands of children had to leave education, and only during the past few years there have been some improvements in this regard. In Iran, Afghan immigrants have always been seen as second-class citizens. It is, of course, not the first time that the Iranian government is taking advantage of Afghan immigrants to achieve its political goals. But this time the Islamic Republic of Iran is using their poverty and sending them to the war in Syria with the promise of money and Iranian citizenship. Maybe some people think that these are all unfounded claims, but after some of these Afghan citizens were captured by the Syrian opposition, they confessed that they had been sent to the war by obligation, and their interview were showed by all news networks, that these people say, despite the Iranian claims that they claim that the Afghan citizens go there voluntarily, but they said they admitted that they were sent to that war with the promise of money, and they were victims of the political goals of the Islamic Republic of Iran. In fact, using immigrant Afghans and sending them to the war in Syria has less trouble for the Iranians, because these Afghan people, they suffer from poverty from one side, and on the other side are always face the threat to be deported from Iran. So when they get killed in the Syrian war, the Iranian regime doesn't face such a big objection. The Islamic Republic of Iran doesn't even show mercy on the Afghan juveniles, and even sends them to the war. Rahmat Barati was one of them, Shir Ali, Muhammad Asadi, and all three were from Fatimian brigades under the command of the Quds force, and were buried in Mashhad and Damavand cities. Ghulam Abbas Amiri was 15 years old, and he was the only child of the family and was living in Varami. Muhammad Hossein Rezai was one of the Afghans residing in Isfahan, who was 16 years old. And these are the clear examples of human rights violations by the Islamic Republic of Iran. The fact is that that using foreign mercenaries in the civil war in Syria by Islamic Republic of Iran is according to the International Geneva Convention. A mercenary is a person who will be sent to a war without having interests except receiving money. According to the official statistics of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was published by Fars News Agency, and in an interview with General Hamedani of IRGC, who was killed in November 2015 in Aleppo in Syria. Almost 70,000 troops built from different nationalities were under command of the Quds force in Syria. According to these statistics, between 15 to 20,000 of these people were made of Afghan immigrants. And according to these documents, the Iranian regime pays each of these mercenaries $500 to $600 in a month, and promises them residency permission in Iran. There is no number about the casualties of this war, but in the beginning of the war there were some numbers released that from a 400 group, 200 were killed, but the Islamic Republic has never publicly announced how much of these people have been killed so far. But we can say that the casualties are very high. However, the Iranian government has not only abused the Afghans, and in line with its political objectives, it has misused the poverty of people in Sistan and Balochistan province. And in this direction, on Wednesday, 29th of May, a group of Baloch youth were sent to Syria, and each of them were paid $2,500,000 Ottomans in return to 45 days of mission and 45 days of rest. Most of these forces came from rural areas and poor villages like Fonuj, Nikshar, Delegan, Bezman, and Bashagird, which are among the most poor areas of Sistan and Balochistan, who were sent to Syria by the IRGC. And 7 of them were killed there and were buried in southern cities of Sistan and Balochistan. Meanwhile, the Islamic Republic of Iran, under the leadership of Ayatollah Khamenei, is claiming to defend the weak in the world. But so, in fact, the Islamic Republic of Iran and Mr. Khamenei himself are responsible for these deaths, and the international community should react to this intervention in Syria, so that we hope not to see these disasters in the world. Thank you very much.